Olin really had a huge effect on the whole national scene with conservation and waterfowling specifically. The two kind of sides that you see emerge in the John Olin story is his love for the outdoors and his love for the company. He grew up hunting ducks and quail in southern Illinois and getting to travel around with his dad and other mentors to really learn an appreciation and a love for the outdoors. He was an engineer by training. In his role as a vice president for Winchester-Western, he constantly was seeking innovative ways to improve products and introduce new things to the market. Progressive burning powder, he was the first to apply that in a shot shell, allowing a lot higher velocities in waterfowling loads. And he also was one of the first people to use plastic hulls with shotgun shells, allowing people to take them into their blind, and if they got a little damp, it didn't ruin the shot shells. He was on the board of SAMI, which is the Sporting Arms and Ammunition Manufacturers Institute, and he was the chairman of a group whose sole job was propagation of wildlife and conserving our natural resources. In that role, he's the person that found Aldo Leopold and first hired him to do his North American game study, and then later go on to publish a book about game management, really when that was in its infancy in America. Not only did John invest at a national level, but he also took it very personally, and he staffed a whole conservation department at Olin that used his properties here in Illinois at Nilo Farms, his quail plantation in Georgia, and at his duck lease at Greenbrier in Stuttgart to really test a lot of these early conservation principles. And they would do everything from testing different grains and feeds to see what wildlife preferred, what kind of habitats stayed the best condition to house them through the winter or to get them through nesting periods. And that all kind of was concerted down into different manuals and pamphlets that he would distribute then to those early conservation groups. The Stuttgart area is someplace that really held a special place in John Olin's heart, and you can tell that from the stories of him going with Edward Queeny to Wingmead and hunting there, and it was so special to him that he wanted his own place. In 1945, he arranged a lease with Roger Crowe and then began a really extensive renovation to make it a waterfowler's paradise. That's someplace that he enjoyed going personally, but he also took a lot of friends, including celebrities from Hollywood and politicians, and then also customers and people that he worked with. You can't really talk about John Olin without also mentioning King Buck. King Buck was his favorite dog. He was a two-time national champion, and he also was the only dog ever to be featured on a federal duck stamp. While John Olin's been gone for several decades, you can still feel his influence in the culture here at Winchester, both through our constant striving towards innovation and new product development, our industry support of conservation groups, but I think most of all is our focus on bringing new people into the sport of hunting and shooting. If John was here, I'm sure he'd want to share that appreciation with everybody that has been a part of creating that culture in Arkansas, and he'd love to see the Arkansas and the Stuttgart area that we know today.